Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. Guess what? OpenTx 2.2.3 is out. We can stop using all the beta firmware or the nightlies, and we can actually use the R9 Flex firmware without any of the, I don't know, the beta or the nightly bugs. So this video I'm going to show you how to upgrade your firmware in your Taranis or any of your OpenTx devices to OpenTx 2.2.3. And this should be the same for just about any version of OpenTx that you want to update to. If a future version comes out, same process. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our Taranis and we're going to fire this bad boy up.
Welcome to OpenTx.
Yeah, shut up. All right, we're going to hold down the menu button. And this should be the same if you're using a QX7 or a x-lite. If you're using the jumper or Turnigy or I don't know what your buttons are, but I would imagine it's about the same thing. So go into your, long hold your menu. You're going to get your radio setup page. We're going to hit page. We're going to come down to page 5 of 9, and we're going to see what version of OpenTx we have. Not that we really need to know this, but just in the future, if you want to see what version you're working, this is the one we're using on this radio. It's 2.2.2 release candidate 4. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to update this. Another thing we're going to do is we're also going to update the bootloader. And if you want to see what version of bootloader you have for the X9D and the QX7, same process. Hold the two trims inward like this while turning power on. And you're going to get this menu that says OTX bootloader 2.2.2 RC4. A lot of people don't end up updating their bootloader. And here's your current firmware you have loaded. If you have like a naming system for your firmware, this is where you see it. And, we'll talk about that later. Go ahead and turn that off. And just to show you, if you're rocking an x-lite, you want to push down on this to kind of hold all 4 buttons. So push down in the center and then quickly tap that power button. If you long hold it, it won't work. You just kind of pop it once. And I've already updated this one, so we'll go ahead and update the Stormtrooper edition here. We'll update this Stormtrooper edition X9D. Oh, by the way, this is just a painted case. They didn't actually make this version of this radio, but she's pretty, isn't she? All right, let's head over to the computer. You're going to need a USB cable that connects to your radio. If you're using most FrSky products, you're going to be using the micro USB. This one I have modified to use a micro B, so I'll be using that. The QX7, same style connector, the big old school USB, and the x-lite is the smaller USB connector. All right, let's head over to the confuser. Okay, so first things first, we're going to come to our radio, and we're going to get in that bootloader menu. So remember, it's hold your 2 trims in and power on, and go ahead and connect your USB cable. There, maybe it's a little easier to see. All right, it's going to say USB is connected. That's good. We come over to our computer and give it a couple seconds for it to recognize your Taranis. If this is the first time you're connecting, it may take a little while for your computer to recognize it, but you should get 2 new drives, a USB drive and one that says Taranis. If you're not getting those, try a different USB cable. If you're still not getting them, try another USB cable. If you're not getting it, you may have a damaged USB port. If you do have a damaged USB port, let me know. I made a little kit to put a USB port on top of the Taranis in the position it should have been from the factory with the USB cable type that should have been from the factory. But that's another video for another day. Okay, so now our computer is recognizing our Taranis. We're going to go ahead and get into OpenTx. Go ahead and click on this gear icon up here, and this is where we're going to set up our radio profile. You can name it whatever you want, if you even want to name one. And make sure you select the right radio type. I'm working with the FrSky Taranis X9D Plus, language clearly English. Go ahead and select Flex R9M. SQT5 font, I like that because I like the way the font looks. It's a little easier for me to read. Lua C, and No Heli. You can load a custom splash screen. That's the screen you get when you start up if you want. I'm mode 2 and TAER, and offer to write firmware to transmitter after download. And the rest of these things should just be left alone. So click OK. We're going to come down to this download button, and since I've already downloaded 2.2.3 on this computer, it says I already have it, but if you haven't, it won't say anything there. Hit check for updates. No updates available at the time. If it was your first time downloading this new firmware, it'll tell you and it'll automatically download. So I'm just going to come over here and hit download firmware. Now we're going to want to save this to a place that we're going to remember where it's at, because we're going to need to get back to this file again to update the bootloader. So I'm just going to save it to a new folder that I've already made. Go ahead and save it. And do you want to write the firmware to the radio? Of course we do. So hit yes, and you can select your custom splash screen here if you would like. Make sure the rest of this all looks good. Firmware 2.2.3 or whatever version you're trying to flash. And definitely check hardware compatibility. It's very easy to flash the wrong firmware to the wrong radio. And I don't know what will happen if you do, but it's probably not going to be good. So write to TX. And that's it. Go ahead and hit close. Now, OpenTx is a little buggy. It won't let me get back there and hit close. Next thing you need to do is download the new SD card contents. So go ahead and click download SD contents. It'll bring you to the website of OpenTx that has all the SD card contents. Go ahead and select the newest version here and download that. It's a big file, so it's going to take you a couple minutes. All right, now that we've downloaded that file, we have a zip file which has all our SD card contents. I'm just going to extract it here. And again, it's a big file. I guess it's really not that big. It's just it has a lot of files in it, so it's going to take a minute, or 9 actually. So we'll just speed up through that. All right. Well, that took a while. Now that we have all our contents extracted, remember that that USB drive that popped up when we connected our Tranus? Let's go ahead and get into that guy. And what we're going to want to do, if you do have a custom sound pack installed, don't copy over the sounds folder. That'll overwrite all your custom sounds. Like if you have the Amber sound pack or whoever or whatever, just leave that one off. So, and we'll just drag this over to here, and we'll go ahead and replace all the files. This is pretty quick if you don't copy the sounds folder over. The sounds folder it's got a lot of files in it. All right, and we're almost done. We're going to come over to this folder. We're almost done. We're going to come over to this folder here on our Tranus that says EEPROM. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back. Remember that file we downloaded? This one here. We're going to take this guy and we're going to move it over to that folder, and we need to change the amount of characters that are on here. So what I usually do is just rename it OpenTx and then maybe the version number 223. I don't think you want any more than
like 10 characters here. So we have that saved to our EEPROM folder. And now we're pretty much done with the computer. Go ahead and disconnect your USB cord. And go to exit.
Well,
So now we're back in our Tyrannus. If we hold menu and go to page 5 of 9, it should say OpenTx 2.2.3. But our bootloader, if we load that up, is still 2.2.2. Here's how we update that bootloader. Turn your Tyrannus back on, hold the menu button, hit page once to get into the SD card contents. Go back to that EEPROM folder, press enter. And this is that file we wrote to the EEPROM folder. Hold down the enter key and select flash bootloader. And that's it. And just to verify, there you go. You have bootloader version 2.2.3. And that's it. That's all it takes to update your Tyrannus version, OpenTx, and the bootloader version. Now, from this point, you can go and update your R9M module for the new Flex firmware. You don't have to worry about it being beta test, any of that stuff, because you have an official version of OpenTx installed. Hopefully there's no bugs. I'm sure there will be. There never isn't bugs, but hopefully they're nothing too critical. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Let me know how this worked out for you. If you have any problems or questions, please put them down in the comments below. If you're ready to update your R9M or your receivers for your R9 system, go and check out the other videos I have on the R9M system. A lot of good content in there. Some of it may be a little outdated with versions and stuff like that, but the process of updating it's going to be the same no matter what version of what firmware you're trying to load. So anyways, like, subscribe, click that bell icon if you want to be notified of new videos that I put out. If you have any ideas for videos or if you have any problems, please let me know. And as always, happy flying.